My wife lied about her ex being just a friend. So I found out everything. You ever get that good feeling where something just doesn't sit right, like you're eating soup and bite into a bone? That's how it started. Just this weird, itchy feeling in the back of my head every time her phone lit up with Dave grinning face with smiling eyes, and she'd lock it like it was a damn nuclear briefcase. At first, I played it cool. I mean, we're adults, right? People have friends. But the way she said, "We're just friends," always had this forced smile behind it. Like a kid lying about not touching the cookie jar while wiping chocolate off their mouth. And I'd ask little things, where they met, how close they were, and she'd get defensive, flipping it back on me like I was insecure. "He's been around forever. You're the only one making it weird." Cool, thanks for gaslighting me with bonus attitude. One time I joked, "You talk to him more than me." And she straight up said, "Well, maybe he listens better." And I just stood there like, oh damn, okay then. You know when someone keeps dismissing you, and you start questioning your own memory, your own instincts. That was me. Dumb, loyal, trying to be the chill husband while that little voice in my head was screaming, "Bro, wake up, this ain't normal." But nah, I let it go. For way too long. Like a clown. A whole circus. Red nose and everything. I was the emotional support character in my own damn relationship. And the worst part? Everyone around me saw it. Her friends would side-eye me when I asked about him. Her mom once said, "You know, she and Dave always had something special." And then laughed like it was nothing. Even her coworkers gave me that pity look at the holiday party when he showed up. Just to say hi. And she lit up like a freaking Christmas tree. And me? I smiled. I shook his hand. I played nice. I was too damn polite for my own good. Until one day, I wasn't. But I didn't blow up. I didn't go full Jerry Springer on them. I waited. I watched. I took notes. Because if I was gonna burn this house of lies down, I wanted receipts. And trust me, I got them all. Oh, I'll tell you when it flipped. It wasn't even something huge at first, just this Tuesday night, middle of the week, nothing special. I got home early cause my meeting got cancelled, and I figured, hey, maybe we could grab dinner or something. You know, do normal couple things. But the second I walked in, she jumped like I'd fired a gun in the hallway. Her phone flew off the couch, face down of course, and she just blurted out, "You scared me." Real shaky, like I'd walked in on a crime scene. My guy brain wanted to believe she was just startled, but that little inner voice, the one I'd been stuffing down with, "Maybe I'm just being paranoid." That voice went full siren. Red lights. Alarms. Whole SWAT team in my brain. I didn't say a word. Just watched her scramble, smile, ask how my day was, offer to make dinner. And suddenly I'm watching her like a stranger, like, "Who the hell are you and where's my wife?" I started clocking patterns. When she'd get texty and giggly. When she'd suddenly need to grab groceries at 9:45 p.m. When she'd be extra nice to me out of nowhere, like she just cleared her karma and wanted a gold star. And then came the dream moment every gut-feeling victim secretly prays for but also dreads. She messed up. Left her phone unlocked. Dumb move. Rookie mistake. I didn't even go looking, man, it was just there. A message from Dave, grinning face with smiling eyes, right on the lock screen. "Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about you." Boom. Whole world tilted. Heart didn't break, it just sort of stopped. Like my brain ran a full diagnostic on every memory we ever shared and stamped corrupted file on all of them. And the wildest part? I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there, staring at the screen like it owed me a better explanation. That was the exact second I decided I wasn't gonna lose my mind over this. Nah. I was gonna handle it quiet. Smart. Cold. Because if she thought she could play me for a fool, she was about to learn I could rewrite the whole damn script. And she'd never see it coming. I didn't sleep that night. Like not a wink. Just laid there next to her, staring at the ceiling while she snored softly beside me like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't just erased 6 years of our life with one text and a smiley face. And the way she turned toward me in her sleep, like instinctively reached for my arm, that messed with me more than I expected. It was like watching a ghost cuddle up, pretending to be someone I used to know. And I just laid there, frozen, running every single memory through a shredder in my head. Our wedding. Her crying in my arms when her dad passed. The way she used to leave dumb sticky notes in my lunch. It all felt fake now. Like props in a show I didn't realize I wasn't the star of. The next morning, I acted normal. I got up. Made coffee. Kissed her forehead. She smiled at me like I was her whole world, and I literally had to stop myself from laughing. Not the funny kind either, the bitter, dead inside kind of laugh that creeps up when you realize how deep the knife went. At work, I couldn't focus for shit. I stared at spreadsheets like they were in another language. My buddy Mark, dude I've known since high school, noticed I was off and asked what's up, and I just gave him the classic, rough night, shrug. But he pressed like, "Dude, you look like someone ran over your dog twice." So I told him. And you know what he said? "Bro, you let her get too comfortable. That's what happens when you don't set boundaries." Like, thanks for the TED Talk, Mark. Where were those boundaries when I was cleaning puke off her shoes at her sister's bachelorette party, huh? But I didn't snap. Just nodded like, "Yeah, man, you're right." Even though I was boiling inside. That's when it hit me, no one was gonna save me from this. Not Mark. Not some magical twist of fate. Just me. So I made a plan. Nothing dramatic. No Hollywood confrontation. I was done yelling. I was done crying. This wasn't gonna be a breakup. It was gonna be an extraction. Clean, surgical. I started logging her texts. Subscribed to one of those dumb catch a cheater services with a free trial. Bought a burner phone. Yeah, I know how that sounds. But you reach a point where pride takes a backseat and all that matters is proof. Cold, hard, unshakable truth. And the more I watched, the more it confirmed what I already knew. She wasn't just talking to Dave. She was practically dating him while living with me. Lunches. Late-night drives. Work trips that magically aligned with his location. Once, she told me she was going to a yoga retreat and sent me a photo of a sunset over the mountains. I reverse image searched it. Stock photo. I actually laughed out loud in the middle of Target. People stared. I didn't care. I was so far past caring, I could have started a bonfire in the cereal aisle. But still, I waited. I let it build. I let her dig herself deeper because I wanted there to be no way out. No. It was a mistake. Speech. No. He meant nothing. Tears. I wanted her to see that I knew everything, and I was still calm. That's what freaks them out the most, you know? Not rage. Not drama. Just silence. Control. So I smiled more. I kissed her more. I became the perfect husband on the surface, and she ate it up. "You've been so sweet lately," she said one night while scrolling her phone in bed. "It feels like old times." I just smiled and replied, "Yeah, just trying to be the man you deserve." She kissed me and said, "You already are." And that right there? That was the last lie I ever let her tell me. I started noticing the patterns, not just the obvious ones like her book club nights where somehow no actual books were ever read, but the little things, too. Like how she started double-checking her appearance before leaving, putting on perfume she hadn't touched since we were dating, or laughing at texts while hiding her phone like it was some state secret. And every time I asked something casual, like, "What's got you in such a good mood lately?" she'd deflect with this fake little giggle and say, "You, babe." Like I'm some stand-up comic and not the guy getting played in real time. I started recording stuff. Not in a creepy way, just documenting. Receipts. Like the way she told me she was having dinner with her sister, but her sister posted a photo from home with her dog. When I pointed it out, gently, not accusing, she got all offended through the classic, "Why don't you trust me?" Back at me like I was the one acting shady. And I remember saying, "It's not that I don't trust you, it's that you're really bad at lying." That was the first time she didn't have a snappy comeback. Just stared at me like I broke script. And the silence that followed? Man, it said more than any screaming match ever could. Then came the gaslighting phase. Oh, that was fun. She started acting extra sweet, doing laundry without me asking, making my favorite meals, like I was some toddler who could be distracted with mashed potatoes. And I played along. Told her how amazing she was. Left little notes saying, "Thanks for everything," just to see if guilt would crack through that polished mask. Spoiler alert, it didn't. If anything, she leaned harder into the performance. Like a rom-com actress with zero awareness she's in a horror movie. The real kicker came when I caught a glimpse of her phone while she was in the shower. I wasn't even trying to snoop, I was grabbing a towel, and boom, up pops a message from Dave. "Last night was perfect. You're magic." And I just stood there, holding this stupid towel, feeling like I'd been sucker punched by the universe. I didn't even get mad right away. Just stared at that sentence over and over like it might change if I blinked enough. She came out all bubbly, kissed me on the cheek, asked if I wanted pancakes or waffles like she hadn't just emotionally detonated my entire sense of reality. And I said, Actually, I think I'll skip breakfast. She asked if I was okay. I said, I'm just not hungry for lies today. And walked out. Straight-faced. No yelling. Just out. I went to my car, sat there for 20 minutes, and thought about everything. How I gave her every chance to come clean, how I'd been the emotional punching bag for months, and how everyone around me probably saw this coming before I did. My mom once told me, sometimes people love the version of you they can control. I didn't get it back then. But now, it hit like a brick to the face. And the worst part wasn't even the cheating, it was the performance. The acting. The whole, sweet wife, routine while she was building a second relationship behind my back like she was running 2 households in parallel. That's when I decided, no more being the fool. No more playing the good guy while someone else writes the script. I wasn't gonna throw a fit. I was gonna take back control. Quietly. Strategically. And make sure that when the curtain finally dropped, she'd have no idea how much I'd seen, how long I'd known, or how completely I was about to flip the script. So I started collecting. Not things, facts, timestamps, every breadcrumb she accidentally dropped while thinking she was 10 steps ahead. I wasn't about to turn into some obsessive stalker type, but I figured if I was gonna confront this circus, I needed more than just a hunch and a smiley-face text from Dave. I started checking her location history. Yeah, she forgot to turn that off on our shared Google account, and suddenly I'm seeing her parked, at work, when her office is 20 minutes in the other direction. She said she was pulling overtime. Turns out, she was, overtime, parked outside a sushi bar with Loverba. One day I asked, real casual, how was work today? And she said, so exhausting. I didn't even get lunch. And I nodded, pulled up a photo on my phone, her and Dave, mid-laugh, soy sauce in the background, and said, guess you ate air with wasabi? She blinked. That was it. Just blinked, regrouped, and said, you followed me? Like I was the villain in her little rom-com. I told her, no. You just suck at hiding things. She stormed off, slammed the door, like she was the one betrayed. That's when I realized this wasn't just infidelity. This was full-blown gaslighting theater. She actually believed she could twist this into my fault. And maybe she could have, 6 months ago, when I was still dumb enough to buy it. But not now. Now I was done playing her audience. I started tracking patterns, same bars, same nights, same damn excuses. And I wasn't even angry anymore. Just tired. Like watching the same bad episode on repeat and finally realizing the twist isn't coming, the show's just trash. I talked to her best friend once, the one who always gave me weird vibes, and I straight up asked, do you know what's going on? She tried that awkward half smile, like she wanted to play neutral, and said, maybe you should just let it go. If she's happy. And I cut her off. If she's happy lying to my face, then yeah, I guess I should throw her a party, right? She backed off quick. People don't like it when you call out the polite nonsense. But I was past being polite. I was planning. Not revenge, something better. Closure. I wanted to walk away so clean, so calm, it would haunt her forever. But I needed one last thing first, proof that no one could deny. So I waited. And I mean waited, like a statue with Wi-Fi. She had this conference, weekend coming up, claimed it was work-related, all-female team, blah blah. I smiled and said, have fun. What she didn't know. I already booked a room at the same hotel. 1 floor up. And before you ask, no, I wasn't gonna spy on her. I didn't need to. I had a friend who worked front desk. Got the check-in records. Dave booked a room in his name. Same nights. Same hotel. I didn't even need to catch them in the act. The act was writing itself. I took a photo of the registry, sent it to my email, labeled it Divorce Starter Pack. And then? I ordered room service, sat back, and enjoyed the quiet. Because while they were busy sneaking around downstairs, I was up there watching it all fall into place, calm, clear, done pretending. I wasn't gonna scream. I was gonna build my exit like a masterpiece. One that left her speechless. One that made Dave wish they'd actually just stayed friends. She came back from that work trip, acting like she won the Nobel Peace Prize. Walked in the door humming, bag swinging, tossing her coat over the chair like some kind of triumphant sitcom character. I was on the couch, sipping coffee, not saying a word. She kissed me on the cheek like nothing ever happened and started rambling about the seminar. How inspiring it was, how she might want to lead a team next year. I nodded. Didn't interrupt. Just watched. She was glowing, not like post-promotion glowing, but like someone who just did something reckless and got away with it. And in her mind, she did. She thought she pulled off the perfect lie. Meanwhile, I was sitting on a full archive of receipts, location pings, text logs, and a freaking hotel registry with her name and Dave's on the same floor. You ever look at someone and feel absolutely nothing? Not love, not hate, just empty air? That's what it felt like. I wasn't even heartbroken anymore, just weirdly detached, like I'd been watching this all through a screen. So later that night, while she was in the shower singing some pop song like her conscience was squeaky clean, I opened her laptop, same password, still. Dave 1991, by the way, and checked her emails. Not snooping, just confirming. And there it was, a receipt from the spa downstairs, 2 guests, couples package. Signed off with, "Best weekend ever, love." I closed it, backed away, and just sat there with this tiny laugh bubbling up in my chest. Not because it was funny, but because the irony was ridiculous. She thought she was slick. Thought she was running laps around me while I was drooling on the sidelines. But guess what? I was miles ahead. I already called a lawyer. Already moved half our shared funds into a secure account she couldn't touch. Already updated the deed on the house. Yeah, I bought it solo back when she was still in nursing school, so joke's on her. And that car she's been driving around like some bougie queen? Leased. In my name. Cancelled. She had 3 days. You should have seen her face when the key fob stopped working. "Babe, I think something's wrong with the car." I looked up and went, "Oh? You mean my car?" She blinked. Again with the blinking. Like if she blinked hard enough, reality would just reset. Then the real fun started. Her sister called me the next morning, furious. Said I was being petty, that people make mistakes. And it's not like she murdered someone. I told her, "You're right. It's not murder. But it's definitely not marriage either." She hung up. A few hours later, Dave, sweet, delusional Dave, had the audacity to text me. Said he never meant to cause problems. And thought she was separated. I sent back a single thumbs up. That's it. No essay, no rage. Just one emoji to let him stew in his own awkward silence. I was done arguing. My revenge wasn't loud. It was precise. Silent. Legal. Clean. And every move I made was another step toward peace, not just from her, but from the version of me that put up with it for way too long. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just started disappearing, one asset, one shared account, one document at a time. And she? She was still playing house, trying to figure out why everything suddenly stopped working, the bills, the access, the control. Because she forgot one thing. When someone's quiet, it doesn't mean they're clueless. It usually means they're done giving you free chances. The moment things started crumbling for her was so quiet, you could almost miss it. No screaming match, no plates flying across the room, just small, daily reminders that I was no longer the guy she could keep in her pocket. Like when she tried to log into our joint Netflix and found out the password had changed. Or when she noticed our couple Spotify playlist suddenly turned into a solo emo mix titled, "Congrats, Dave." Yeah, petty? Maybe. But let me have that one. Anyway, she kept walking around with this puzzled expression, like a tourist who lost their map. "Did you change the bank app password?" I said. "Yup." No explanation. Just confirmation. She didn't even try to argue, just stared, like she was trying to math her way out of a trap. What really made her panic, though, wasn't the money. It was the silence. I wasn't shouting. I wasn't accusing. I was just removing her from the equation, one forgotten login at a time. And trust me, when someone's used to controlling the narrative, nothing scares them more than you rewriting the script without a single word. She had the nerve to sit me down one evening and say, "I feel like you're being cold lately." I looked her dead in the face and said, "You cheated on me with your ex and expected warmth?" She opened her mouth, like she was gonna throw some twist into the plot, then just shut it. I think that's when it hit her. I wasn't hurt anymore. I was done. Fully clocked out. She still had this weird hope that I'd eventually get over it, and we'd rebuild, like our marriage was a garage project she forgot in the corner. But no. I wasn't fixing this. I wasn't rebuilding anything. I was packing the tools and renting out the space. And that scared her. Because suddenly, I wasn't the desperate husband chasing closure. I was the guy walking away with the house keys and the lease in my name. Her friends started reaching out. One sent me a DM that said, "You're overreacting, she still loves you." I replied, "She loved Dave too, apparently." The friend blocked me. Her mom even called me, which, by the way, was wild because that woman never liked me. She said, "Can't you just work through it? Everyone makes mistakes." I said. Cool. Tell your husband that when you catch him at a spa with his old flame. That shut her up real fast. The whole time, I wasn't trying to win anyone's sympathy. I just wanted out with my dignity intact. I started sleeping better. Eating like a human again. Stopped pacing the hallway like some confused NPC. And I could tell she hated it. Because while she was unraveling, trying to piece together why none of her manipulations were landing, I was already rebuilding a life without her in it. And she knew. She could feel it. Every time I walked past her without reacting, every time I smiled at my own jokes instead of hers, every time I made plans that didn't include her, it burned. And man, that's the kind of slow burn revenge no courtroom or therapy session can deliver. That's when she started crying. Not out of guilt, but out of losing control. The tears didn't even hit right anymore. I just stared at her like, "You done?" And when she said, "You're not even trying to fix this," I replied, "Why would I fix what you broke to pieces with someone else?" She had no answer. Just tears. And silence. And the sound of her world getting smaller while mine started expanding. By the time I sat across from her for what ended up being our final real conversation, it felt like I was talking to a stranger wearing my wife's face. She looked worn out, not like physically tired, more like emotionally bankrupt. The same woman who once told me I was the most dependable man she'd ever known, now couldn't even look me in the eye without blinking like her brain was buffering. She made us both coffee, like that was gonna fix anything, and I swear she even did that little tilt-head puppy look like she was the one who got played. I sat down, took a sip, and said, "We're not doing the fake polite small talk, right?" She gave me that tight-lipped smile people do when they know the game's over but still hope for overtime. "I just want to explain," she started, and I cut her off immediately. "No, you want to feel better. That's not the same." She froze. And for once, she didn't interrupt me. So I kept going, because honestly, I needed her to hear me. I told her I wasn't mad anymore, not even sad, really. I was just disappointed in how little I actually meant when things got inconvenient. I said, "You didn't just break trust, you emptied it out and handed it to someone else like it never mattered." She tried pulling the emotional deflection move, like, "I didn't mean for this to happen." And I said, "You didn't trip and fall into his bed, Claire. Come on." Her face twitched when I said her name. That's how I knew I hit a nerve. I used to call her babe, or honey, or some dumb nickname that only made sense to us. But now she was just Claire, the woman who made a choice and didn't want to own the consequence. She started crying again, which, to be fair, maybe used to work. But I wasn't the same guy anymore. I didn't rush to hug her, didn't grab a tissue, didn't even blink. I let her sit in it. When she finally spoke, she asked, "Do you really think I meant to hurt you?" I just said, "I think you didn't care enough if you did." That hit way harder than I expected. Even she looked shocked. She mumbled something like, "I miss us." And I answered, "I miss who I thought you were." Then she said the wildest thing, "And I swear I'm not making this up," she said. "If you walk away, he wins." I literally laughed. Like an actual laugh. I looked her dead in the face and said, "This isn't a competition, Claire. You already lost me. You just didn't notice." She sat there stunned. And in that moment, I wasn't angry. I wasn't bitter. I was free. I grabbed my keys, stood up, and told her she could keep the coffee. Then I walked out. No dramatic music, no rain, no looking back. Just quiet freedom. And you know what? That silence was louder than any fight we ever had. There's this weird moment after everything blows up where you expect something. Like part of you thinks the universe should send you a sign or maybe roll the credits with sad indie music in the background. But nah. It's just silence. And emails. And the same dumb toaster blinking at you like nothing happened. That first week alone hit like a truck made of every "what now?" thought I ever tried to ignore. I crashed at a buddy's place at first, shout out to Ryan, who gave me his couch, 2 beers, and absolutely zero judgment. Legend. The place smelled like gym socks and regret, but honestly, it was still more peaceful than that house ever felt. And here's the kicker, the people who used to act all buddy-buddy with us, a few of them magically turned into full-time therapists for her. Like suddenly I was this emotionally distant villain who pushed her into someone else's arms. Which, seriously? One dude even said, "You should have fought for her harder." I looked him dead in the eye and said, "I wasn't in a cage match, bro. I was in a marriage." He shut up real quick after that. The messed up part is, I kept catching myself replaying everything, like an unpaid film editor scrubbing back through every conversation. I started noticing all the micro red flags I brushed off, Like how her phone always face down. Or how she gets super defensive over basic questions, like, "Who texted you?" was an attack on her freedom. And man, the amount of stuff I used to let slide just to keep the peace, yeah, that's on me. But I'm done feeling dumb for trying. I loved hard. That's not weakness, that's just human. Around week 3, I started reclaiming little pieces of myself. Bought new bedsheets that didn't smell like fake lavender and lies. Changed my playlist. Rewatched the dumb action movies she always called low IQ cinema. Heck, I even started cooking again. Badly, sure. Burned my first 3 attempts at eggs, but I still posted them on Instagram like a proud idiot. And yeah, maybe I added a motivational caption. Don't judge. What really got me, though, was how quickly I stopped missing her. Not out of spite. It was more like my body exhaled for the first time in months. Like something unclenched. Like my peace stopped needing permission. I'd go on walks and realize I was actually walking for myself, not just to avoid a fight or give her space. That hit different. I wasn't healed yet, not by a long shot, but I wasn't bleeding anymore either. And every time someone tried to say, "Maybe she didn't mean it," I'd reply, "But she still did it." Simple as that. No more defending the person who hurt me just because I used to love them. No more shrinking myself to be the bigger person. From now on, I'm just gonna be a real one. That's more than enough. Funny how people come out of the woodwork once they think you've moved on. Like emotional vultures just circling the breakup battlefield, trying to snack on the drama. I had cousins demanding me, like, "So what really happened?" As if I owed them the uncut director's commentary on my private collapse. One of her friends even had the nerve to send me this long, scolding message like I was the problem the whole time. Apparently I let resentment grow. And should have communicated better. Instead of quietly gathering evidence of a literal affair, I replied with, "Yeah, next time I catch someone lying to my face, I'll light a candle and write a sonnet about it." She left me on read after that. Go figure. But the wildest part? She tried coming back. No joke. 3 weeks after I blocked her on everything, I get this email from her personal account titled, "Can we talk?" I stared at the screen for a good 5 minutes like it was some kind of trap. And part of me, the really dumb, loyal, used to love her part, wanted to click it. Just to see what kind of spin she was gonna try. But then I remembered the look on her face when I left. Not regret. Not shock. Just inconvenience. Like I'd interrupted her weekend plans. So I didn't open it. I forwarded it to myself, archived it, and went out for tacos. Healing isn't always pretty or profound, sometimes it's just choosing salsa over self-sabotage. And yeah, some nights still sucked. I won't lie. You don't spend that long building a life with someone and then just shrug it off like a bad haircut. There were nights I'd lay in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering what parts of me were real and what parts were just who I became to keep her happy. Like, did I even like wine tastings? Or was I just trying to seem refined enough for her friends who called IPAs aggressively blue collar? Did I stop talking about my writing because I lost interest, or because she never read a single thing I showed her? Stuff like that messes with your head more than the betrayal itself. It's not just the cheating, it's what you sacrifice to keep someone who was never keeping you. And no one really prepares you for that kind of inventory. But here's the thing, I started rewriting it. Literally. I pulled out the old short stories I buried on my hard drive and started editing them like my sanity depended on it. Because honestly, maybe it did. I'd sit at this cafe, headphones on, same hoodie 3 days in a row, and just type until my brain went quiet. One night the barista said, "You always look like you're either solving a mystery or escaping one." I smiled and told her, "A little bit of both." First time I'd smiled for real in a while. And that's when I knew I was finally getting somewhere. Not healed, not over it, just forward. One page, one playlist, one petty win at a time. So yeah, months passed. I didn't magically turn into some self-help guru or healed king, or whatever Instagram wants you to believe happens after a breakup. I still overthink texts before sending them. I still flinch when someone brings up trust like it's some easy thing you can just rebuild like a Lego set. But I laugh more now. And I laugh in a way that isn't hollow. I joke around with my coworkers again without pretending it's funny. I started saying no to things I don't want to do, which sounds dumb, but for someone who used to bend over backwards to keep the peace, it's revolutionary. Oh, and that friend of hers who tried to guilt-trip me after the breakup? Ran into her at a bookstore, of all places. She gave me that smug, pitying look and goes, "Still alone?" I looked right at her and said, "Yeah, and shockingly, I prefer it over being lied to in 4K. She didn't say much after that, Just did this tight little nod and shuffled away like a penguin in heels. Honestly, top 5 moments of my year. I wish I could say I never think about my ex anymore, but that'd be a lie. Some days she still pops into my head, usually when I'm folding laundry and remember how she used to, accidentally, leave all her stuff in my dresser like my drawers were her personal storage unit. Or when I hear a song she used to hum while doing dishes, and for a second I feel my stomach drop before snapping myself out of it with something ridiculous like yelling, "Nope!" at the ceiling like I'm banishing a ghost. But here's what's changed: she doesn't control the ending anymore. I used to let her words echo in my head for days like, "You're too intense," or, "You make everything so dramatic." But now I realize that was just her way of dimming the lights so her own shadows wouldn't be visible. And I'm done sitting in the dark with her. So no, I didn't get revenge. I didn't post screenshots. I didn't destroy her socially or financially. I just walked away, stayed quiet, and started living like she never existed. That was the real win. She didn't see it coming. And the wildest part? I'm not even angry anymore. Not really. Just relieved. Relieved that I got out before I wasted any more of my life playing emotional dodgeball with someone who kept moving the line. And if you've ever been there, if you've ever loved someone who turned honesty into a guessing game, then you know exactly what I mean when I say, I finally feel free. Not perfect, not fixed, just free. And that's enough for now.